Hutch, we have Blametruth on the show every so often, and
Yeah.
I think there's some genuine animosity on his side. What's on your side?
That's a good question. I gotta be honest. Like at this point in my life, I don't have a lot of genuine animosity for like anyone. I'm getting older. I'm chilling out. So I haven't had any kind of interaction with him in quite some time. There was like some effort to build a bridge. And so he has like a podcast where he discusses COD. I think it's called the CODcast. And I went on his podcast.
Good name.
And everything was fine. And then there was like a little spat. It's usually about the SBMM stuff and
skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah.
You do something. Okay, so I don't know why it's just you. I can get on the internet and I mean, you've been doing this as long as I have. You learn to kind of take things on the chin and nothing, you know, you've seen it all at this point. But there's something about like, I don't know what it is. There's something when somebody has a Call of Duty opinion specifically that is really, I guess, against the grain, we'll say. You know, it's almost infuriating, and it's silly because it's a video game, right? But in a lot of ways, like I still do take it seriously. I mean, we're both in our 30s, you know, we're getting up there. It's something I do still take kind of seriously because it's like kind of like my job still, you know, it's like kind of like your job too. So it's just something that can get you heated.
But I haven't had any kind of interaction with him in a while. I hope he's doing well. I'm not even being petty or anything like that. I don't have a lot of space for that anymore in my life. So yeah, I'm not above like being really petty sometimes. Like I have it in me to be super juvenile and immature, but honestly on this part, I don't give it a lot of thought. And yeah, there's not any active hostility as far as I'm aware.
Every time we talk to him, he's just like, fucking Hutch.
And it's hilarious because I've never seen such a dispute over something that to me is as retarded as skill-based matchmaking. Like there's no big, like, it's not like you're arguing over religion or politics. It's like, I want lobbies of shitheads that I can just massacre. And it's like, no, you shouldn't have that. And it's like, that is the impetus of
I love the argument though. I don't want to rehash it. I don't want to rehash the argument, but I love the argument because I see both sides semi-equally. And obviously, like, as a player, you have an opinion, and then if you're asked as like, hey, this game over here in a vacuum, what do you think it should be like? Maybe you have a different opinion there. So it's a fun thing to hash back and forth. It's a good topic, but he takes it very, very personally. I've noticed he gets upset about it. We're always telling him you guys should do one of those YouTube boxing matches, but especially because of the stature difference.
Well, I put on a little bit of weight, a little bit. It all went to my gut, so I'd have to like do some kind of conditioning. But no, I don't want to. Of course,
I'm actually. I don't mean
6 months and be ready to kill.
To cause trouble, but I think I'm on Team Blametruth with this one.
No, Hutch has got the reach advantage by far. He's going to be reaching in there.
About skill-based matchmaking, not the fight.
Oh,
I wasn't clear.
I would take Anthony over me in a fight. Let's just put that to rest right now. That dude is yoked. He got ripped, bro.
Yeah, he is ripped now.
He's gotten into fitness.
I can get you on
skill-based matchmaking, in my opinion, I can't play with my friends. My friends are too good, and they ruin it for me. And
mine are too.
Didn't used to be that way.
Yeah, we spoke about this last time. Like, I think like my point that I made back then, and I'll try to make the point again, like really concisely, is like that is like a really valid perspective. If you're not having a good time, that's your subjective experience. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. But I'm just saying, like, if we're expecting video game studios to loosen matchmaking parameters such that it actually eats away at their player base and drops their player retention, that like. I assume we're all capitalists here. Like nobody, no business owner is going to make a decision that would intentionally drop the player count. And I think like a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to interject that a different game with a similar situation is Sea of Thieves. Are you familiar with the whole controversy there that's been going on for years?
I'm curious though. Tell us.
Who's the fucking? I love him on Twitch.
Summit, maybe?
Summit. Thank you. Summit was often at the center of this, but Sea of Thieves has this sort of, it's a pirate simulator at its heart, and it's beautiful to sail in Sea of Thieves with three of your boys. Trim the sails to the left, you fucking play your harpsichord, and I'll steer, and you get the fucking spyglass up the up the ladder and look for sharks. It's fun, and a lot of people play it that way, and they go through this little story mission. They go fight AI skeletons for these chests of gold. Then they buy fancy sails for their boat, and that's all they want to do. The hardcore players are PvP masters. They know how to, like, the fastest way, the meta to switch between this gun to that gun to, like, kill somebody. Like, you normally fights take 15 seconds. Summit kills you in 2 seconds. And you're like, wait, what happened? Then your boy's dead. Then his boy's dead. Then the ship's sinking because Summit was asleep in the bottom. Wait, literally camp his character out asleep in the bottom of your boat and hide till you do 3 hours of work. Then sink your shit, take all your loot, and sail away. Because it's a pirate game.
Yeah. Some of those clips are really impressive too. I don't play the game, but I'm watching it, and it's like wild what some of those PvP players are doing with that game.
So I think they finally split the worlds, and they made it so that if you want to go off and do your thing, you can. And they're making it so if you want to be a sweat lord, you're just going to have to do like PvP basically and fight other people who just want to shoot back and forth. But that's not what piracy is, right? Piracy at its heart,
right?
If we're talking about that, let's go pick on the weakest people we can find with the most treasure. Let's find a fat Dutch trading vessel with incense in it.
True.
But
there was a
player base needs to be served.
So there was a matchmaking debate in that community as well. Is that what was going on?
A big deal. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I don't remember the last time I checked, and Summit had sworn off the game because of the developers changing.
I think you could sum it up like this: the herbivores didn't want to play with the predators, right? The cannibals.
Yeah.
And they decided to split the player bases. And I can see why they would, but Kyle's like, in real life, the cannibals don't eat the other cannibals, largely. They prey on the deer and the cows and the sheep.
Yeah. Seems like the other people should be playing Raft, like where you kind of Sim City your Raft.
They should, because Raft is fun.
Raft is really fun. Yeah. Although I will say this to you two. I don't know if you've ever played Sea of Thieves, but if you role play, if you put on your pirate voice, you pick out which, my guy's got a peg leg for sure. I'm not too agile, and like play it that way and go find it, buried treasure, following maps all around for 3 hours. That shit is really fun. Yeah, and I can't PvP that well anyway. Not well enough. Not like them. It's scary.
That was back when you were in your rum drinking phase too.
Oh yeah, you get some rum. All right, you got to make yourself some homemade grog when you get out there. It's a good time. It's an amazing pirate game.
Al couldn't smoke.
I think it's pretty telling that all of these studios, except for like Escape from Tarkov, but like all of these studios eventually get to a place where they add stricter matchmaking. And and some of them have been more like forward about it. Like, the Fall Guys team of developers, they just straight up said in their Discord, like, look, we get it that our hardcore OG players are finding the game is very sweaty right now and they're not having as good of a time. But what we're observing is that when a new player plays the game and gets stomped out 2 times in a row, they just uninstall the game. And we don't think that's acceptable as a studio. And so they essentially said, like, we don't really have like a choice, you know? So yeah, it's just, you can have your preferences, but if you start like screaming at Infinity Ward for adding skill-based matchmaking, I just don't think you're operating in reality, you know? Like, I don't think you're just acknowledging certain unavoidable truths, I suppose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a story the other day. Maybe it was fake. I'm going to pretend like it was real because it's funny.
It's more fun when it's real, yeah.
The guy said something. He had done something like refurbish and donate a ton of old Xboxes to like this children's hospital, and he had loaded them all up with like COD 3.
Oh, the worst one.
So he could populate lobbies for himself.
I love it.
He's like, you guys don't understand. It's disabled children who've never loaded the game up before.
Oh my god!
You can get some sick clips.
That game is ass.
No one played COD 3 even when it came out. Everybody kept playing COD 2.
Actually, it was one of those throwbacks that everybody liked to go back to for
COD 2 would fit that description, right? A game you could play multiplayer. It was semi-popular. It was the king before COD 4.
Yeah.
Like every lobby was a private lobby. So in that game, you would go into a lobby and there would be one leader of the lobby, and they alone decided, okay, we're going to play like free for all and we're going to do it on this map or whatever.
Are you talking about 3?
COD 2.
Oh, so I don't remember it like that. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like matchmaking where you hit find match and it throws you into just like a game where the game is doing all that deciding. There was like one host that would decide everything. But this was the really early days of Xbox Live. It was like a launch game, I think, was COD 2.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I remember in the late days of COD 4, you started playing COD 2 again, and I'm sure I'm not the only one here that was like, "Yep, I'll join too." And it was the same thing, like just getting slaughtered on some desert map I'd never played before.
Yeah.
But that was a cool game. If I remember correctly, when you ADS, it's like, and here's your scope. Fuck, that was fast.
It was like instant. Yeah.
And the reticle on the sniper didn't like meet all the way in the middle. And so you kind of just had to get the guy somewhere in those three because it had the two horizontal ones and the bottom one. And you would still kill. I don't remember which gun that was.
Yeah, there were like 4 different snipers and each one had a different reticle. The Springfield had the one that was just a regular cross. And then I think the one you're thinking, I think that was the car. I think that was the car 98.
That may have been it. Because I remember in private lobbies in COD 2, like the person administering it, or at least among my friends, would be like, hey, that's 2 snipers on one team. Only 1 sniper per team because they were far and away so much better than everything else. Shotguns were unusable in that game.
Really?
And SM, or did they have shotguns? I'm thinking SMG.
Shotguns. Yeah, definitely.